polling indicating North Carolina, a battleground state here. You can see where it ended up in 2020. Donald Trump won this state. It was close. The margin was just over 1 point, just under 75,000 votes. And North Carolina, among the battleground states we talk about this year, it's unique because all of the others, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all of the others voted for Joe Biden in 2020. All of the other battleground states, it's the Democrats trying to protect electoral college votes that they already won. In North Carolina, it's Democrats trying to play offense and take electoral votes from Republicans. So let's look at it from each party's perspective here. First, for the Democrats, why do they think they could flip North Carolina? If they do, what will do it? The answer is it's something we talk about nationally all the time. It's suburbs. It's metropolitan areas, areas around cities. You've got the Research Triangle. You've got the Piedmont Triad. You've got Metrolina, where Charlotte is. Go out to the mountains where Asheville is. You see these blue areas here. And a couple things to note about them. First is these are areas that are getting bluer. So they already went for Joe Biden and the Democrats in 2020. But let me show you what I mean. Wake County. This is the biggest in the state here. Biden won it, you can see, by 26 points, 27 points. Go back to 2008, when Barack Obama actually won North Carolina in 2008. It was by this much. But look, biggest county in the state, Obama won by 14 points in 2008. By 2020, look at this margin for Democrats. That's a 27-point margin for Democrats. So big counties like this are getting bluer. They're also getting bigger. They're adding population. So Democrats think that's a heck of a combination. They say, look, Joe Biden in 2020 came this close to beating Donald Trump. You then add in 4 years of population growth and 4 years, more years of those metro areas getting bluer. Asheville, Greensboro, Charlotte, Raleigh, on and on. They think they can erase 75,000 votes right there. But now let's take it from the Republicans' perspective. Why do they think they can hold on? It's because what I just described is not the only thing that's happening in North Carolina. You also see all of the red on this map here, from west to east. A lot of the counties are small counties. I just showed you the biggest in the state. Let me show you something on the much, much, much smaller side, but it's going to indicate the other force that's playing out here in North Carolina politics. This is Surry County. Tiny. Look at that. But look at the margin. Donald Trump carried it by 52 points in 2020 over Joe Biden. Now take a look. Just as I said, those metro areas are getting bluer. Here's a rural county. Look at the journey that it has been on. We'll go back again to 2008. Still a red county in 2008, but look, the margin, it was 28 points for John McCain and the Republicans in 2008. Last time around, 2020, as I just showed you, 52. And that's not just happening in this one small county that we're putting up on the board here. It's happening in small counties like it all across the state. Individually, they're small. Collectively, they add up. And so you've got sort of what you'd call a Trump surge area in a lot of these red counties and a Democratic surge area in these blue counties. Which one is going to be able to sort of churn out just enough votes for each side? That could decide not just North Carolina, but the presidency. And there is one other X factor we want to mention here. You do see this swath of blue. Whoa, that wasn't supposed to happen. Hope I didn't make you dizzy. But there's this swath of blue right here. These are actually small counties. These are rural counties, and they're blue. Why are they blue? Because they have large African-American populations. And this is an interesting note here, because while these counties, you see most of these in this area are blue and did vote for Joe Biden in 2020, if you compare the margin that Biden won them by and the relative turnout he got, in 2020, it's not at the level that Barack Obama got when he carried the state back in 2008. And so maybe that's the other X factor. We talk about the metro areas. We talk about the red Republican rural counties. What about the large African-American populations in these small rural counties? Can Democrats get something like that enthusiasm they had for Obama in 2008 out of these counties? That, in an extremely tight election, maybe could make the difference and settle the tie between the...
I'll be honest with you, I actually don't know why anybody's surprised that Kamala Harris did such a great job in her interview with Dana Bash and CNN with Tim Walz. I mean, she's been doing the job for a while. She kind of has a little bit of inclination as to how to be a good politician. And I don't believe that she would be running for the highest office in the land if she didn't have just an extreme level of competent about her. I thought the interview was great. For me, the standout moment from just my personal thing, she refused to get involved in what I would call the baiting by Trump and co. You know, over her race and the fact that she's female. Wow, there's a surprise. She kept it very adult, very intelligent, and if I was Trump, I'd be worried, because he isn't able to have a conversation that doesn't go down the path of mocking, being rude, being condescending, being patronising, lying, having a chip on his shoulder, whinging, moaning, all of that stuff, and being insulting, sexist, racist, homophobic. I mean, oh, the list goes on. That is what he does. How is he going to... These live debates, something tells me he's only going to do one, and he is really going to find out.
Do it cogently, and she can also do it in repetition. We see that Donald Trump has flip-flopped on everything. He just took back his stance on abortion rights when it came to the Florida policy that is going to be on the ballot in November. We see time and time again, this is somebody who says one thing and then does something else. This is someone who can't remember what he said 3 days ago, so he revises the policy on the fly. This is someone who is known to, go into attack mode immediately when he either does not want to answer a question, or when he is inciting his MAGA base to be violent against journalists. I think that she has so many entryways where she can speak to Donald Trump's actions, but also who the man is. And she's going to continue doing that throughout the campaign trail. But she has to balance that with her own policy ideology and where America is going to go under a Harris-Walz administration. Those are the things that she's doing. It's not just about who you're running against. It's also about why people should be voting for and invested in you. And I think that that's the bigger piece of what Kamala Harris is doing on the campaign trail.
Okay, Amisha and Brendan, stay with me, guys. After the break, behind the numbers, what new polling might suggest. I am back with my panel, Amisha Cross and Brendan Buck. So, Brendan, we heard from the Trump team that the Harris honeymoon would end and that most voters won't start paying attention until Labor Day. Well, Labor Day is Monday. Harris leads in a new national Reuters poll. She's closed the gap in many state polls. People are paying attention. Are voters saying, at least for today, that this race is Harris's to lose?
I think that's probably the right bet at this point. Oh, I think we talked about this last week. Coming out of the convention, you sure should hope that after the 5 weeks that Kamala Harris has had, is that she's going to have a pretty strong lead. And she has a lead, although I don't know if that it's a lead that you could necessarily feel super excited about if you're that team. You still should be a little nervous. There have been no better stretches in modern American politics than what Kamala Harris just did. Now, at the same time, of course, Donald Trump clearly has a ceiling, and that's what he's running up against. But she's clearly the favorite at this point. I would just probably want to see a little more of a lead. That lead is 4 points, but it still only has her at 45. The Wall Street Journal only has her up 1. It's going to be a closer election, as we always sort of thought it would be. Politics seem to be settling back to where they've been for the last 10 years, very closely divided.
Yeah, 100%. So, Misha, with respect to the swing states, it shows a surge for the vice president, rather pronounced in some places, but all certainly within the margin of error. Do these polls give you some degree of optimism, or are you wary of complacency?
There is optimism, but there is also a keep your foot on the gas narrative here, because I do think that, as the Harris campaign has illustrated, that they are the underdog. They are positioning themselves to continue these bus tours, to go outside of major urban centers, to make sure they're also hitting rural areas, to make sure they're reaching voters where they are, and also acknowledging the fact that this is still a new ticket. Kamala Harris has been at the top of the ticket for a month. At this point, there's a recognition that there has to be so much on the ground work, and irrespective of the polls, because polls will go up, polls will go down. It is what it is. We're still within the margin of error. I don't think anyone ever assumed that this was going to be an easy race to win. We always knew that it was going to be extremely close. These races are won within the margins. So she is doing exactly what she needs to do. She's talking to people and meeting them where they are, bringing in younger voters, bringing in diverse voters, bringing in some Republican voters as well, bringing in those people who were essentially double haters before she entered the race, bringing in individuals who have not voted in presidential elections in years. She is making herself the new variety of the Democratic Party and opening the Democratic Party to one that does not solely speak to what people consider traditional Democrats. She is making this a very different wave, and I think that that's going to carry her through. But make no mistake, the innovation of this campaign has